Hi, my name is Dr. Katrin Meidell, and I am the viola professor at the Schwab School of Music at Columbus State University in Columbus, Georgia. I am going to give you a tutorial and then perform the GMEA All-State Etude for 11th and 12th grade orchestra. This is for the year 2023 through 2024, and the etude is Mazas, of course. This is number 23, short detached strokes and octaves. This is a tricky etude, and I think that one of the best things you can do for yourself as a musician is get in the habit of reading ahead. So your eyes need to be ahead of what you're currently playing, and that way you can prepare mentally for what comes next. That's how we're able to do all of the switches that need to happen basically on a dime in this lovely etude. I actually like the etude a lot. I think it's got a lot of fun challenges and a lot of chances to do some nice musical things. Obviously it's all about articulation, and all of these up-bow staccatos. So if we go from the beginning, so notice I'm giving each note a little bit of vibrato on the left side that helps them ring, and I'm staying on the string with my bow, and I'm trying to catch the string between each note. And what I mean by that is that there's a little bit of grab with the index finger between the index finger and thumb. You can kind of create that. That gives us a nice bite, and also makes the note short if you don't use a whole lot of arm with that. So that's the first of those up-bow staccatos. So that again is all about the index finger. So I'm thinking, so it's almost like we're creating like a little, this kind of a shape. So the thumb and the pinky are bringing the hand up into the frog on every single one of those. Obviously that's like very, like under a microscope that's blown up. It should not look like this is what's happening, although that is the feeling. So if you look at it from this side, it's this kind of a feeling. So you can see how my fingers are actively bringing the bow into the hand. So if I do that one more time, so those little catches are what we're looking for in all of those up-bow staccatos. There's two spots in the etude that are kind of interesting. So this is if we're looking on the first page. If you count lines with me, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the 7th line down. It starts right there. And this is exactly the thing that I think is interesting, because we have a quarter note that has a dot on it, and then we have tenuto marks. So I'm not 100% sure what they're looking for, but what I've settled on is like a long 8th note kind of feeling for that quarter note. And then setting the bow and continuing on. Personally, I think it would sound better for where it's tenuto. But it's not marked that way. So there is a like place on the second page, 4 lines down in the last measure. So same idea there. Oh, let's see here. Yeah. So we want to make sure that that quarter note at the beginning of the measure feels long, but still short at the same time. It's a weird marking, right? There's also a typo at in the second to last line where they've marked a fingering that isn't correct. So this is in the second to last measure of the second to last line. So I'll start from the beginning of that. So I'm starting in third position. And then there's this like a 1 there, which makes absolutely no sense. So if we were to try to do that, and then you're like, oh my God, where am I supposed to go? So just ignore that 1, that's not supposed to be there. What you're supposed to be doing is the exact same thing that we had a couple of measures earlier. So don't go crazy trying to play that weird fingering because it's not correct. There's another spot on the first page that I think is pretty cool that has a neat little technical thing we can do to execute it smoothly. So if you count from the bottom, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the bottom. It starts. Okay, and then we're in the cool measure, which is. So what I'm interested in there is the string crossing. So if I show it from this angle, you'll notice I'm just gently leaning over to kiss the A string. So this is not like a full arm motion. So you can actually see my elbow staying in the same place on the D string level. But I'm doing that with the wrist and the fingers, and that creates a really nice smooth shape and helps keep the lyrical nature of that section of the etude. Let's talk also about the trills. We got a lot of these quick little trills that happen throughout the etude. Usually they are on our third finger, so our second finger is the one that's sitting, and then the third finger is the one that's bouncing. That word that I just used, bouncing, is exactly what it should feel like. So we're not trying, it's kind of counterintuitive, but you actually, instead of trying to keep the third finger as close to the string as you can, that actually creates a lot of tension in the hand, and it means it can't move. So we actually want to have the opposite feeling, where it's a very active bounce. And that will give us a really nice trill. All right. We do have one trill at the second to last measure on the first page. That's with your fourth finger, but thankfully it goes by pretty fast. So same sort of feeling though. Trying to bounce as much as you can from the bass knuckle. So getting an active trill. Which, so if I do a trill trying to keep my finger as close to the string as possible, you can hear how it sounds more tight and it's out of tune, honestly, also. So it's just, if you can get into this habit of having this really nice finger action all the way from the bass knuckles, so you can see how my fingers are moving, that's what we're after. There's a tricky bow distribution spot on at the middle of the first page. So where you see that forte, it happens in the measure before, and it sets you up, if you're not careful, to have kind of a difficult time in the first two measures of that line where the forte is. And the reason being in the measure before, so this is at the end of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line, we've got this, which is really encouraging your bow to end up towards the tip. And then if we got, we're totally in the wrong part of the bow. So that means you have to actually save bow and then spend, so you're saving bow in the long slur and then push it and then saving again on the down bow. So it's like slow bow, fast bow, slow bow. And that way you can do that entire passage in the bottom half, which is really where you want to be to create that stroke. There are a number of sforzandos in the part. I like to think of sforzandos as a left hand effect, not a right hand effect. So in the first line, I'm going to give that sforzando note a little bit of extra oomph in the vibrato on the left side, but not really do anything different on the left side, and that will help it stand out nicely. So that's what we're looking for there. And then when you do get any accents, try and think of those as index finger weight accents in this way. So if I come a little bit closer, I'm going to engage my index finger, and you can see how that's bringing the stick closer to the hair. So I'm not mushing, I'm not pushing with my arm, I'm simply pinching. Yeah, you can think of it as a pinch between the index finger and the thumb. You can see how my hand is sort of leaning into that index finger. So that gives me a lot of grip with the hair against the string. And that's how I'm gonna get that little popping accent. Sorry, that one didn't speak very well. So for example, in the third line, where we have these quiet accents, I'm not doing that with, you can see I didn't use a whole lot of bow. So it's just about that grip with that index finger. With the octaves, you'll see that I use two interchangeable methods. One of them is when we have the broken chords as they are first presented, the broken octaves that is, in this section. And when I'm doing that, I'm actually thinking about letting the fourth finger go. So that way I'm really just working on getting the first finger in the right place. Better if I could remember the notes. But you can see how my fourth finger is jumping. Then there are other sections where we have more prolonged and sustained octaves, and there I'm going to, for lack of a better word, I'm going to block the hand and I'm going to move the entire unit. But when doing that, I want to make sure that I'm leaving the fourth finger as light as possible, especially in the shifts, and the same goes for the first finger. So when I'm going from first to second or back, I'm making sure that the finger pressure is getting out of the string. So if I change the angle of that, maybe you can see it. So right now the fingers are pushing the string all the way down, then I'm letting go. You can see how the string moved. So that will help your hand move because you don't have that excess pressure of the fingers down and sort of creating a death grip around the neck. So when we do have these longer octave sections like I'm really trying to let go of that gripping sensation between each shift. There's a fingering on the second page that I really discourage you from doing. It's a holdover from the violin edition, and as we all know, violins are smaller than violas, and they can do certain things like play tenths and fingered octaves, which is where you would do like a 1 3 2 4 instead of 1 4 1 4, and that's actually the fingering that they have marked in here. So this is 4 lines from the bottom on the second page where we have these and then it's this one that I can hardly play that with the fingering that they mark. It really hurts. So don't do that to yourself. Just play it in 4th position with a 1 4. I'll do that a little bit better. That's a lot healthier for your hand, and nobody will ever know. And the likelihood of you ever doing a fingered octave anywhere in your viola career is very, very, very slim. So just play an octave with a 1/4 and make your life a little bit easier. So it's tough. There's a lot of tricky stuff in here, but when you get it all together, it actually makes a really nice piece of music. So without further ado, here is Etude number 23, the 2023-2024 GMEA All-State Etude for grades 11 and 12. And if you have any questions, you can just shoot me an email, and I also give free trial lessons to anyone who's considering going into music for their undergraduate career. So shoot me an email, I'll happily meet with you right here in this very room. All right, enjoy.